Hey, how's it going? This is a sacred training topic to me. There's so much I want to be able to jam pack into this and say. But most importantly, I need you to understand the concept of developing what is your why. Your why is what's going to motivate you to push through the hard times and sacrifice to win as a business owner. You know how hard it is. If you don't, and you're starting out and you're like trying to figure out, should I be a business owner? Should I even do this? Start with why. Simon Sinek wrote a book on that called Start with Why. It's so important to know what is your purpose? What are you aiming for? What are you trying to accomplish? Don't just open some like vape shop or something just because your neighbor did. You saw one down the road. Do something of value. Do something that matters to you. You can actually take our passions assessment to further develop what your whys are because you're going to need more than one on this entrepreneurship path in order to really break through and have the success you want. The same also applies to people who are aiming to be professionals and executives at the highest level. If you want to become your best self, it probably should start with thinking about, okay, what do I want my best self to look like 5, 10, 15 years down the road? What are the things that I want to accomplish and why? And then let me take that a step further. Figure out why your why is your why. You got to figure that out too, because that's what's going to ultimately drive and unlock you to figure out the greatest secrets of your life about what you're doing, what you're up to, and ultimately that will center you because you'll find peace, you'll find more happiness, you'll find more joy, you'll find more alignment, you'll find that the things that you do with your time are the things that you want to do with your time because you'll know why you're doing them. So let me get out of the redundancy of that and go into an example that absolutely changed my life, even though I'd already figured out some of my whys. I was at a network marketing event and somebody was speaking about two buildings and how if you put on a skyscraper a board about this wide, just wide enough to walk across, you put those between the skyscrapers, you could actually walk from one building to the other. Would you do it? And nobody in this room of over 100 people, would have wanted to do that. And so, he's like, he's pushing on that factor. Would you do it? And then we said, now let's pretend that on the building across the way that your baby was on that building and that building was on fire. Would you cross? I don't think there's very many people in that room who didn't think I'd run across. Like I'd make sure that I got across. And that is a reflection of your why and why your reflection motivates you. That burning building, think of that burning building as work and think of that burning building as dealing with that angry customer, or think of that burning building as dealing with the drama of your team. You don't want to cross over to that. You don't want to get into that. That's not fun. But when you realize that your why and your purpose is associated with tackling those hard challenges, all of a sudden you have the ability to jet across those boards and make sure and to resolve whatever problem is there and that you face. So another thing that gentleman taught was your why should make you cry. If your why doesn't make you cry, you probably don't have a deep enough why. You probably haven't really figured out the power of why and what why can mean for you. And maybe you're scared of success. Maybe you have a fear of failure. Maybe you just don't have that drive and that passion, that purpose. We do have passions assessment to help with that, but definitely you've got to figure out what your why is, and you've got to be willing to open your heart up enough to really think through it, to really feel it. And then, of course, you want to gain some clarity around that too. Where did it come from? When did you start developing your devotion to that? Your why, I find that most people's whys have to do with things. And it's funny, when I talk to teenagers, they don't typically have very good whys. It's like, what do you want to do with your life? And they're like, I want to eat pizza and play video games, right? That's all they can think about. Then I ask them the next question, which is, what do you want to be remembered for? Or if you had $100 million, what would you do with it? One of those questions come next, depending on their intellectual capacity. And they start thinking through the process of, wow, I'd go party, I'd have some fun, I'd go snowboarding, I'd go jet skiing, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to play with that game with them. And they're going to go, and they're going to go on it. And then they're going to, it's not going to take too long, maybe 2 minutes of time of talking to that. And I'm saying, okay, so you just spent $10 million. You still got, $990 million, and you're bored out of your mind from, doing all your bucket list stuff. And now there's nothing left on the bucket list. Now that you've done all that, what are you going to do with your time? and they immediately realize and start to think, and they go, well, I don't, all of a sudden pizza, video games, all that's not fun anymore. I guess I'd want to help people. And I want to give some to charity. What charity do you want to support? We're going to dive deep, 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 deep. Most of the time, people gravitate towards a couple of things: solving world hunger, helping children overcome abusive situations, or eliminating poverty. Most of us in this life have been affected by one or multiple of those aspects, and we tend to gravitate towards wanting to help people that are suffering from those same conditions or those same circumstances that we've been a part of. There's others, don't get me wrong. I'm not a psychologist. My business partner is, I'm not, so you'd have to ask him about that. But there's probably an array of other things that you might want to help with. My point is, if you have something in your mind that says, no, that's not what I would want to help on, I would want to help on this, you probably have a why. And the stronger your pulse is on that why, the more dedicated you will become to doing something about it and making a greater difference in this life. Develop your why. Make sure your why is aligned with your vision, your mission, your business. If it's not, make sure that you're utilizing your business or your professional career as the vehicle to accomplish your why. Don't lose sight of it. Don't put it off. Don't pass 30 years of your life only to come to the end of it and say, you know what? Now it's time for me to focus on my priority. Don't do that to yourself. Focus on your priorities now. Make sure they're front and center. Make sure that you become your best self today. Don't put that off to tomorrow. And I'll see you on the other side.